was born by the river in a little old tent. Oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change is
My
gonna
name
come.
is Marina Pratt. I was born in Strawnsill, Kid Island, just off the main settlement of Bennett's Harbor. I am 75 years old, just celebrated my birthday yesterday. My parents' name were Mr. and Mrs. Naaman Smith of Bennett's Harbor, Kid Island. My father was born in Otterstown, Kid Island, and my mother was born in Strawnsill, Kid Island.
What's your mother's name?
My mother's name is Irene Florence Strawn Smith. My daddy's name is Naaman Wellington Smith. They are the parent of 7 children. In fact, they had more children, about 15, but only 7 of them lived. I am stuck right in the middle, number 4, and 3 before me and 3 after me, so I am the middle child. The oldest sister is Lottie Louise Smith, Gloria Elise Smith, Helen Amelia Smith, and myself, Marina Vera Smith, Dudley Joseph Smith, deceased, Barbara Rovelda Smith, and Owl Sherman Smith, deceased.
So what was it like growing up at the time of Cali?
Oh, it was fun. Really, they say in those days you couldn't have fun, but we had a lot of fun. Because when we get together, we play ring play, and we talk old stories. My mother and we used to go to visit our aunt's house at night. Sometimes we sit up Pratt, and while they sitting up Pratt, and they tell us old stories like Babuki and Barabi and all those stories. And I remember as a child, one of my cousins, Sibylline, deceased, Evelyn, Hebron, we went up to our grandmother's house. It was on a hill, a beautiful place. You can see everything from my grandmommy's house. And one day we were playing and we just turned over her water barrel. And we did not say a thing to her. But when she found out, we didn't get any beating, but we got a good tongue lashing. She didn't beat us, because I guess she liked us, so she didn't beat us. And I was one of her favorite grandchild. She never called me Marina. She called me Ninga. And I could remember every Sunday when she's passing by our house in Strawnhill, Kid Island, she would bring bread for every last sibling of her children, starting from my Uncle Hartman. Well, Uncle Herbert had no children. Then it was Mother, and when she reached our house, she always say, Ninga, come for your bread. And trust me, Mama used to bake the sweetest bread you ever taste. So, finally, after our house was burned down in Strawnhill, our house burned down. My mother used to travel from Strawnhill to Bennett's Harbor, just about maybe 10 minutes walk, 10, 15 minutes walk. They went to church that night, that Sunday night. She left Gloria, who is now deceased, and myself at home, but she took Helen and Lottie to church. And boy, did Gloria she just got cheeked up of my cousin Henri, deceased. cheek her up so we could go and tell her, say, let's go fry pancake. So, so Gloria went, fried the pancake. But in those days, you know, we were poor, but we were happy. We had thatched roof. And Henri was so mischievous. He took a piece of a fire stick. We lived near the salt pond. And he said he threw the stick over in the pond. But it didn't reach the pond. It reached right in our house roof. And by the time we reached back up to Uncle Herbert, the house was gone with we left with nothing but the clothes on our back. Daddy at the time used to work at the Porcupine Club, which is now Paradise Island. And well, through help from the Red Cross and various family members and, you know, people from different settlements came to our rescue and they gave us clothes, and that's how we were able to survive. Yes. After that, my mother, she was a proud woman. And she was always a striving person. And you know, my mother won't live with nobody. When her husband, at least I can't remember at that time, but I remember she lived, she made us bed in the barn. We had something called a barn where we would keep the bean and the peas, the corn in the drum. But Daddy came from Nassau and he brought, I remember that was the first spring mattress I ever saw. Spring bed, the box spring was something like coil, you know, had curls under it. And Daddy brought that and Mother set that up right in the barn. She never went to live with anybody. I don't know where we slept the first night our house burned down, but I know I could remember us sleeping in the barn. And one time they had a program and we still in the barn, but she made it with us, with 4 children, 4 girls in the barn. And that morning she started to put some clothes up. My mother always liked to put things on the beam. She had like a makeshift beam, and she putting these old clothes up on the thing. And every time she put the bag with the clothes tumbled back down. But 2 times, then she said, I'm causing this bag to tumble down. And when she looked up, there was this big false snake, coiled up. And all she could say, children, get up! False snake over your head. And so we just, you know, you had program, you're sleepy that morning, you try and sleep. But boy, that wakes us up because we never like snakes. Every one of us are afraid of snakes, except my mother. My father, he was afraid of snakes. If he's going in the field and he saw a snake, he will turn back and no more field for him that day. So now at the time, he coming from Bennett's Harbor that morning now, having a good time, and we hear him coming saying, swing low, sweet chariot. That was his favorite song, especially if he take a little drink. At the time, he used to drink. He'd take his little drink. Boy, Mother said, oh yeah, you singing swing low, sweet chariot? False snake in your Daddy say, my uncle who lived further from Uncle Herbert, Daddy said, goodbye, I'll see you all later. He didn't even stop home to see what wrong. My other Uncle Hartman, who lived further up the road too, had to come and kill the snake. Well, after that, Mother and Daddy decided that they would go to the main settlement of Bennett's Harbor. And it was there they started build the house, which is still standing today.
How old you was at this time?
I was about maybe 7 or 8 when we moved into Bennett's Harbor. And trust me, I was always I really thought I would have been Mother's last child. That's why we bonded so well. They used to say I am Mother's favorite child, but I believe it's because of she didn't have no children for such a long time, she gave me all of the attention as if I was the last child. And we really bonded well. And they built a house, they built their house, limestone, rock, sand. That's what they built a house of in those days. We didn't know anything about blocks to build a house, but trust me, they are some strong house. They're still standing today. We moved into that house until I grew up, get my education. No. I left school at, I think it was, at the time it was more advanced by the time I graduated. And trust me, I used to do a little monitor. I was teaching in the school of Bennett Sabbath School. I was teaching at the time, doing my little monitoring. And after a while, unfortunately, I got pregnant. And I had to.
Unfortunately.
Huh?
Don't say unfortunately.
Yes, I'll put it like that.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't want to get pregnant, but it happened. But I have a beautiful daughter. That baby is now a beautiful girl. I love her. Her name is Cheryl. She's married. So, you know, in all things, I still give God thanks. Because sometimes He allowed these things to happen for a reason. Well, when I came to Nassau, lived, and that was in 1966, and that's where I met my husband, Pratt, from Deep Creek, Eleuthera. And in fact, it was 65 to begin at, but we bonded in 1966. We really got closer in 1966. We met at the time. I was living with my sister Helen, and he was, you know, living in the same yard, because in those days all kind of little houses used to be in the yard. You rent, and you meet different people. Well, it was as call it like love at first sight. We bonded. And after that, I had my first son, Kenneth Oliver Pratt. In fact, his name is Kenworth. But he didn't like the name Kenworth, so we call him Kenneth Oliver Pratt. Oh, and that was my first. In fact, that's when I really know what it was to have a baby.
Where did the name Kenworth come from?
Well, it was like one of when I used to do my little monitoring, one of the students' name was Kenworth. And I loved the name, so I called him Kenworth. That's how I gave him that name. And so we moved on. My husband, he was always a man like to exploit. So he left at the time and he went to Freeport. Now I'm in Nassau with the baby. But still we survive. He used to send me little money and things, you know, to buy little stuff. And I won't tell you, things was hard in those days. Sometimes it was really hard. But we survived, and me and my siblings, especially Lottie, oh God rest her soul, my beautiful sister, we always stay together. Because Daddy, when he come to Nassau, he used to say, children, don't you go to bed unless you make contact with your siblings. Find out if they had something to eat. But Lottie, being the older one, she took him seriously. And she always looked out for the rest of her siblings. I can say I gave her credit for that. Sometimes we only had 2 rooms. We had to rent and had 2 rooms. It wasn't easy, you know. It wasn't easy, but we all packed there together and we were happy. But finally, my husband, we moved to Freeport. He came up and he got us. And we moved to Freeport. But my baby Kenneth, at the time I already had 2 more children, but his mommy took Kenneth and carried him to Deep Creek, Eleuthera. And when we reached in Freeport, oh, it was nice. I loved Freeport. In fact, if I had a choice to live, Freeport would be my home. But I worked. When you see that hotel you call the Princess Hotel now, which was in the International Bazaar, we opened that hotel.
Oh.
My sister and I, yes.
It's part of the opening team.
Oh yeah, I was part of the opening team. Oh, and I loved it. Because I used to do waitress, and man, I used to make so much tips and money, man. When you see, we get up, boy, I go into the bazaar and change my quarters and think I go home with a lot of money. And I love it. I didn't want to leave Freeport, but my husband, oh Lord, my husband just get up and go on to Eleuthera. Oh God, and I hated Eleuthera. But I just had to go where he went. And we lived in Eleuthera. I lived in Eleuthera for 5 years.
What you didn't like about Eleuthera? How was Eleuthera at that time?
Because you know why I didn't like Eleuthera? I felt as if I went backward. You know what it is? You done used to cooking on your gas or your electric stove and going back in the old kitchen and picking up wooden things. Oh God, I hated Eleuthera. And so I didn't, anyhow, but I had to be content and satisfied. Then on top of that, my husband leaving, going back to Freeport. Leave me right in Eleuthera. Boy, and I telling you all, I got so angry. And one day I get on the phone. We used to have these old phones which you have to ring up the olden days phone. I said, darling, when you reach back to Eleuthera, Marina will be gone. Boy, it must be 2 days after that I hear him say, go to the airport, your ticket there. Because I was seriously, I was leaving. I didn't care what happened, and I came, I went back to Freeport with him. But I didn't stay long there at the time. In fact, Ingrid was the baby. Ingrid was born in Eleuthera. Her grandmother was her Grammy. Was her, what you call it? She was the midwife. Yeah, she delivered Ingrid. So she was the baby at the time. Well, I brought Ingrid and Harrison, the one we call Nun, from Eleuthera.
So Nun was born in Eleuthera too?
No, I got pregnant in Eleuthera, but I came to Nassau to have him. Okay, Ingrid was the only one born in Eleuthera. So I guess, and then after that, I decided to really settle down. We lived, after we came back to Nassau from Freeport now, we were just up, traversing through. And so we came back to Nassau. My husband got a job at the then Ambassador Beach Hotel, we used to call it. He got a job in 1976. And he held that job up to the day that he retired. And he retired as a golf course supervisor.
That was what we call it Radisson now?
Yeah, it was not a Radisson. And they were some good old days. And shortly after he got the job, I got a job with Ministry of Education. And I started out, believe it or not, as a janitress, because I only wanted a job. Even though I had the qualification to do better, they said at the time, that's all we have available. I took it. But when the opportunity came for me to move on out, I grabbed it. And I headed up to the Ministry of Education, which was on Shirley Street. And I stayed there. I moved from Ministry of Education in 1999. And then I moved on to C.V. Bethel School. After I left C.V. Bethel, I was transferred to Thelma Gibson Primary School. And oh, that is where I retired from. And that was the best retirement service I ever had. At the time, Mrs. Russell, Angela Russell, was the principal. Believe it or not, she and I bonded. She liked me and I liked her. And if you see Miss Russell like you, honey, she can give you a good send-off. When I retired, they sent a limo, a stretch limo for me. They call it my day, because that was my day, special day. She said, you can invite your pastor to speak, Mrs. Pratt. I invited my pastor. He came and he spoke. The district educational officer, she spoke on my behalf. And we talked about I get plenty of money when I retired. Boy, look here. All them envelope and all those classes just came and I looked at them. Man, when I opened them envelope, money. When you know who was happy for that? Me. But really, if you work good, and trust me, everywhere I went, to the schools, everywhere, people just love me. And they say, Miss Pratt, do this, Miss Pratt, do this. Even the teachers, they come to me. Then sometimes I ain't even thinking, oh, but when I look, they slip me one $40, slip me one $20. Miss Pratt, do this to me, man, do this to me, do this. I say, you ain't got to do that. She say, yes, you're a nice person, we can give you the money. And so it was good. And now I'm home, retired, relaxed. Even though at the first year I retired, I got sick. I wouldn't say I got sick, I had to have a surgery. I had to have a hip replacement surgery, but God is good. I'm still alive and kicking.
Right.
And to God be the glory for great things He had done.
Talk to me about, Sherry lived with someone else.
Okay, Sherry, like I tell you, that's when you heard me mention at the beginning how, unfortunately, I said I got pregnant with Sherry. I had my baby. I went back home now. I did come to Nassau. But oh, my loving daddy. He looked on me and he said, Charlie, you won't go back home? I said, yes, sir. And he said, get ready. He said, I can pay your way back home. Because I could tell you one thing, we had a loving father. Oh, I love that little man so much. We had a loving father. And he said, you won't go back home? I say, yes. And I remember going back home, doing the chores that I usually do. And on the very first day of May, 1965, my first child entered the world. And I named her Cheryl Patrice. Cheryl Patrice. And I moved back to Nassau with my baby now. You know, I got my baby. And when she was about, let me see, she might have been about 2, 3. I saw the opportunity where I said, now I'm a single mother. And I know her grandmother was in a better position to take care of her. And you know, I decided to let her take Sherry. And that was a good decision I made as well, to allow her to grow up. Sherry should grow up to be a beautiful young lady. Since she moved when she was up to 8, and guess what? All those years I didn't see my baby, you know. Until one day I met her granddaddy. And he said to me, he said, really, you want to go see your baby? I said, yes. And he took me to the house in Marathon Estate. And after that, she tell her, say, this is your mommy, because she didn't know me as her mommy. Say, this is your mommy. And after that, you know, she'd come to me, and that's how we get connected back. When she moved to Freeport, I used to go Freeport, and she come to mommy. She come and hear me. And up to this day,
Darren was born?
Darren was born in Nassau. In fact, all of my children were born in Nassau except Cheryl and Ingrid.
So, he is at Padolio Street when Darren was born?
Oh boy, in Padolio Street, I just dream about Padolio Street up to today. I spent mostly 9 years in Padolio Street. That's where Dan was born. The last little runt. And when he was born, I said, I'm not going to have any more children. Because I know I still could have children. He was born when I was 30. When I was 34, going for 30. I wasn't quite 35 yet, because I wouldn't have been 35 till that December, but he was born in May. And now, in those days, they used to give you a thing from the clinic, say, let your husband sign it, so you could get tie off. I took that thing to my husband, and he would not sign that for me to get tie off. And it happened, God moves in a mysterious way. At the time, I was going on vacation, ready to have babies, so you usually would stop like, a couple weeks before you stop working. God happened, so I stopped that Friday. Monday, I was sitting right through the back, on the back door. And listen here, as I sat down, eating fried fish, because I always like fried fish. Eating fried fish, fried the fish and eating it at the same time. I only felt the water come from me. Water by break. Listen here. That's why down there, I believe that little brute is so much trouble. Monday night, no pain. No pain. That time the water didn't break. Tuesday, no pain. All night Monday now, that was Monday evening when the water break, no pain. So I say, Lord, what should I do? I just didn't want to go to the hospital. And guess what? We didn't even have no car. Even if we had a car, I believe Harrison was driving the car to work. So I heard, dear me, Miss Bull, get in the bus, in the jitney bus, and go into the hospital. But I wasn't feeling no pain. And when I reached the place we used to call accident and emergency, then I told the nurse at the registration, that's what happened. She said, woman! She called one of those, he said, get that chair. He said, I'll push her wrong to the maternity ward. Got the chair, she said, woman, he said, the next time that happened, you stayed all night and know your water bill. But listen here, in my mind I say next time, they sure it could be no next time. Because Darren at the time was number 7. 7 children. Oh, I didn't tell you how many children I had, eh?
Yeah.
I had 7 children, 5 sons and 2 daughters. Cheryl, Kenneth, Otis, Ricardo, Harrison, Ingrid, and of course Darren. So all that day, I'll tell you, let me finish telling the story Tuesday. No pain, still ain't feeling no pain, till around about 3 o'clock. The doctor said, Miss Pratt, he said, I feel like 2 heartbeats. I say, what? 2 heartbeats? They just taking this measuring tape and measuring my stomach, because I had a big stomach, man.
They didn't have like x-ray and stuff.
They ultrasound and those things. But he said when he put it, he had 2 heartbeats, I need to say, I must have been twin. Boy, I said, I can't handle no twin. But then after he see I wasn't getting no time, he said, you know what, we can induce labor. Ooh. Induced labor is the hardest pain you ever will find. Even though I already had 6 children, when they gave me that thing, that and pain just start coming like this. Pow, pow, pow. And look here. I have no baby clothes, you know. I leave the suitcase home. Because I tell you, I catch the bus and go to the hospital. By the time I call home, I had a very good friend named Ivy. I said, Ivy, go to my house. Bring the suitcase. You believe that baby wait until he hear Harrison come? That little down. Wait until he hear his daddy voice, and when he come to the bed, he come out and the nurse said, listen, you can't be here, go back over there. That's when that little bugger come. He no come at the right time. And Charlie must he told I was gonna dead after I been all time. I said, nice, take the paper, go carry to him, let him sign that, and that's how come I get tired off. That's I sure I would have had 1 or 2 more children.
You trick him?
Oh, he thought I was gonna dead, must he after he see you wait so long. He signed that thing so quick. Favorite?
Yes.
With the children?
So how did you get your favorite grandchild?
Well, my favorite grandchild came because, of course, Ken White was my oldest son. And after he moved to Freeport, I think he met Doreen here in Nassau, but he run away going behind Doreen in Freeport. Leave mommy right here, but anyhow. They used to work to the pilot house together, I remember that. That's where he met Doreen, at the pilot house. And after he went to Freeport, and of course, you know, he Ken and all. Let me tell you something, my oldest boy, Ken White. I guess maybe he liked mommy too, and mommy liked him. And anything I asked that boy for, oh Lord, he was faithful to mommy here. He would come, I said, Kenneth, I need this. He said, okay, mommy, what you want? He would give it. I must give him that credit. Before he left my house, he was just like a husband. One time he said, mommy, see your husband there, you hear? He said, you think I was your husband, eh? Because I used to just ask him for things. And when his birthday, man, I go and buy him, and let me tell you, he liked good things. And I used to go at the time to St. Michael's shop, one of the top line shops. That's where I used to buy his stuff from, St. Michael's. And he know mommy gonna buy him stuff from St. Michael's. That's what he liked. And he gone Freeport, and after that he called me. I go down there every time I go in there. But mommy, you don't get old, eh, mommy? I said, what do you mean I ain't get old? You want your mommy look old? He said, mommy, you still looking so good. And you know, the kind of leave Freeport, and then the next thing I hear from Kenny, guess what? He said, mommy, I'm in New Jersey. I said, what you doing in New Jersey? He said, mommy, I got married. I said, oh, thank God. And I was like, so it was sort of stunning to me. So I answered. So he said, mommy, you don't say nothing. I said, boy, you catch me unawares. But you know, God is good. God is good. I have 5 sons. I am the mother of 5 boys, 2 girls. Oh, my grandson came when Doreen got pregnant. And of course, Kennedy was the last child for her. And believe it or not, when the baby was 6 weeks old, 6 weeks, I remember he came up in Nassau and he brought the baby. He said, mommy, I bring the baby for you to see. He bring the baby for me to see. A child, that was Delia Rotten. Oh, Kendall was such a sweet little baby, man. I mean, I like that baby right away. I said, Kendall, you want me? I can keep this baby. He said, keep him, mommy. He said, you want me, you keep him. Boy, I know how you make it out with Doreen, because I know we're going back to Doreen without the baby, but he's just work out. And I had my grandson. He's now 31. I put him through primary school, Carmichael Primary School. Then I put him through S.C. McPherson and on to C.V. Bethel.
How you Who next? Tatiana. How
Tati-
did you?
Well, Tatiana, my second grand, came through my third son. Yes, through my third son, Ricardo. The little, I just call him the lover. He was always a little lover. And he met Janet Penniman. School days now, from school days. And he fell in love with Janet, had a baby, had a daughter, Tatiana, one little red girl. And he was so proud and that carry the baby out in the sun, him and Janet in the basket, let the child get burned up, skin get burned up. I mean, and anyway, to cut a long story short, he ended up having Tatiana, which was my second grand. And they all grew up around me. I love them all. I love my children. I love my children's children. I even now have 2 great-grandchildren. And oh, I love them 2 little great-grand I have. Veronique and Taj. Oh boy. Taj born in my house. Veronique came to live with me when she was 1 year old. And I kept all of them. I mind them. And after I started getting like a little older, I said, now you didn't have to take in the children. I ain't minding no more children. It's too much burden on me. I time for me to rest. But I just send for them when I ready. I send for them and they come spend time with Grammy. And they all call me Grammy. They don't say, even one with Jenny House, she called me Grammy too. I am her Grammy. I am Grammy to all of them, and I love them all alike. Well, what I really want to leave people with, the life that I lived. Because, believe it or not, I was not always a Christian. I was baptized in the Baptist church. But when I really got to really know the message of truth was in the Seventh-day Adventist Church through a good friend of mine named Fedora Hanna. She introduced me to the Advent message. That was in 1977. And from then, I was going, and I'm still going strong, even though the pandemic is on. I still go to church when I could. Even though they say the seniors should not go, I say, well, nobody can stop me from going to church. I go to serve my God. And I just want to, my children, I just want them, when I go, should the Lord take me or should He keep me until He decides to make His return back to this earth? I would like to see Him coming in the clouds of glory, to tell you the truth. But should He decide to call me home, I want to be ready. I want to know that my soul is right with God. And I will see all of my children. My desire is to see all my children saved in God's kingdom. All my grandchildren, my great-grand, I really want to see them saved. And we be reunited as a family.
Somehow I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. Oh, yes it will.